For more on Syria's presidential election and the crisis inside the country, we're joined by Ambassador Theodore Kattouf. He's a former U.S. ambassador to Syria and the United Arab Emirates. He's also served as a Middle East analyst at the U.S. State Department. Ambassador, how can people vote in a country that's in the midst of a civil war?
Well, if the regime wants you to vote, you'll be able to vote. So in Damascus and some parts of Homs and the coastal areas that are dominated by the president's religious sect, the Alawites, I'm sure it's very easy to vote.
This is apparently the first time that there's actually a challenger to Mr. Assad. So is it a foregone conclusion that Bashar al-Assad is going to win this election?
Of course, it's a foregone conclusion.
Let's talk about President Obama's comments today. He said he'll work with Congress to ramp up support for some Syrian rebels. What exactly does that mean?
Well, he has yet to spell it out. I mean, it's an open secret, if a secret at all, that there is already training going on of elements of the Free Syrian Army in places like Jordan. Therefore, the president seems to be talking about going overt on what up to now has been a mildly covert operation. So you have to ask yourself, why is he doing that? Is it because he's been criticized for doing too little by some of our allies in the region and by some in Congress? Is it that he believes that it will make it easier to help the rebels? But as you asked the question, who are we going to be helping? We'll be helping, I presume, those groups that are pledged to a democratic Syria and not those groups that want to usher in an Islamist jihadist type regime.
Because in fact, there is concern that really, who are these rebels? There's so many different factions, and some in fact have been linked to al-Qaeda. So you sort of want to make sure the help and the aid and the support is in fact going to the people who want democracy or want to put Syria on a different path. The war has also created a huge humanitarian crisis. More than 1 million refugees have been displaced, or in Jordan, in Lebanon. But what about Syrians inside the country who are dealing with violence and bloodshed and attacks? How can the international community help them?
Yeah, there are, I believe there are something on the order of 2.5 to 3 million Syrian refugees in the surrounding countries, and there are twice that number within Syria itself who are not living in their homes. So it's a huge humanitarian crisis, one of the largest we've seen. Well, certainly something can be done to further help the refugees, and the president in his speech today seemed to be indicating that more money is going to be flowing to Turkey and Jordan and countries like that have the bulk of the refugees. But as long as these people are in camps and there's no prospect of them going back to their homes, it could turn into a festering problem, much as the Palestinian refugee crisis has for the last 70 years.